Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Divine Mess. Thank you for listening to our already seventh episode. We can't believe it's our 7th week recording. We had so much fun, and we also welcome your feedback. Those who has commented, thank you for commenting. We are really appreciative of that. We are meeting new people. And personally, I know it's helping a lot of my friends. So I'm really grateful for Tina, Ryan, my co-host, which is the intuition queen, like I like to call her, but she doesn't.
It's just one of the labels, Lovey. Just one.
So for those who are tuning in for the first time, or it's the first episode that you're listening, I'm Kirtideva Perumal. You can call me Deva. I'm the founder of Heroes Mystic. And I'm a holistic life coach as well, with a background in psychology and counseling. And I'm speaking a bit too much, as you can see. As you can hear from my accent, I come from a lovely island called Mauritius, but I currently live in New Zealand. Now I will leave the floor for Tina Ryan, who will introduce herself, and then we'll just dive in on the F word. Yes.
What could that possibly mean? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Tina Marie. I am many things, I would say, but my main aim is to help women move into the space of divine feminine leadership, whether that be in their homes, in their relationships, in their place of business. We no longer need to move through hustle and grind to achieve the things that we need to achieve. And I love helping people facilitate change. So whatever it is for you that is not working in your life, then I would love to have a conversation over a cup of tea or a gin and tonic or whatever floats your boat, to see how we can possibly work together. But until such time, enjoy listening to the chats that we have. Myself and Deva met 18 months ago, thereabouts. It's been that long. Oh, my Lord. It feels like forever.
18 life ago.
Exactly. Meeting Deva was like one of those, I suppose, soulful meetups where you go, oh, it's you. Yay. We finally found each other after nearly 50 years on the planet. Well, for me at least anyway. He's a little younger than I am. Quite a bit, I know. Shut up. So it's been a fascinating journey over the last 18 months. We've learnt a lot about each other, but at the same time, not a lot of the human stuff, a lot of the soul stuff. So that's why I love to call him my soul friend. And I love proving to people that men and women have the capability of being friends without all that love and mushy relationship stuff getting in the way, because they provide a really fantastic perspective. And particularly seeing as I'm a mother of 4 men, he's always a really good sounding board to have when I feel like my life is a Netflix special, which it kind of is on a regular basis. You know, if it's not one child, it's another, if not all 4 at the same time, plus then fur children. So it's a divine mess, my life. And so that's why I think I can speak with authority about moving through that. So today we are talking about an F word, and not the F word, which I am quite fond of. So if you do tend to listen in, there may be a few thrown in. So if you have delicate ears, then maybe this podcast is not for you. But today we are talking about fear. And how it ruled my life for quite a long time. And my dear friend watched me move through what it meant to speak publicly for me, and the fear that came with utilizing my voice, and It was not pretty, to say the least. But
yeah, it was.
The transformation has allowed me to speak publicly about writing a book. It's allowed me to lead networking groups. It's allowed me to sit here and feel very comfortable talking with my friend on a podcast, which is something never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought was even remotely possible. So fear is a really juicy topic, and we will kind of talk about it in a very short, concise space, I think, today, but we will look at it again after our 10th episode. Here's me predicting the future, possibly again and after the 100th. But anyway, we just want to sort of talk about it on a very small level today, but to give you some hints and tips about where fear might be leaching into limiting you from being your best possible self, and how to recognize what fear feels like in your body, and how you can breathe and take a moment and realize what it actually is, that it's just your brain trying to wrap you in bubble wrap and protect you from not necessarily doing stupid stuff, but limiting you from trying new things and dipping your toe in waters that you normally wouldn't have, which then would allow you to ride the wave. But I will hand it over to my friend who has much more science behind his musings. Mine is very practical, coming from the space of motherhood and life. So handballing it across the screen to you, my gorgeous friend.
So easy, right? So the way you did it, it's so subtle. Like no one hear what you just said. Yeah. No, but thank you. Like, because fear is already a huge topic. And when you say it's not the F-bomb that we all know by now, you should know, everyone listening, that Tina's favorite word. But we won't go on that right now. Because
necessary, really? Let's just talk about the other scary F word.
But today's, because we came up with that over the week, that this just dropped, like we have those divine downloads, and we say like starting the F series and starting with today talking about fear. It's such a broad topic, and I feel that everyone at one point in time, we all experience fear, and not just one point in time, maybe
weekly,
daily moment. Maybe some people it's like you have to take minute by minute to face your fears, and we have so many fears that we can talk about. But since you mentioned how we met, so people who are listening maybe for the first time, we met through a coaching course, like to voice out, like to elevate your voice, to project your voice, and we learned about how to write a speech. And I could see how Tina has grown and become more confident in herself, because I've seen her first speech, and you wouldn't believe, like right now she's doing her podcast. But we all went through that, and actually, like, fear of the number one fear is public speaking. Like that's the number one in the world. It's not even fear of death. Like public speaking is the number one in the world. And I found that when I learned about that research, and I was like, no, that's not possible. Like, how can public speaking be the number one? But when I reflected back, I realized that it all comes down to that judgment, right? We actually, if you dig into that, it's like when you're put on the spot, right? Like, how will people look at me? What will they say about me? What will they think about me? And I think that's what people are afraid of. It's the projection of how others will look at us.
But it's also too, it's in that sharing your innermost thoughts, feelings, experiences for the benefit of others.
Yeah.
You know, you might go into it with a very, how can you put it? You know, in the wanting to be for the betterment of mankind, but other people may, you know, may look at that experience and go, who gives a crap what they've got to say? Or, you know, who cares? Why? You know, but there's something I think innately within us. We are both storytellers. We love to share knowledge, wisdom, things we've been through, that it's almost like the fear is the universe's way of testing us.
Yes.
As to going, we know this is your purpose, but we're putting all of these things in the road to see how much you really, really, really want to share your wisdom and your knowledge and your innermost thoughts and feelings and all of that sort of stuff. How much do you really want it? And I think that's where fear, you know, kind of bites us in the butt, because you really, really want it, but what are they going to think? Oh, I really, really want it. Oh, what are they going to say? You know, so it's that backwards and forwards, and it's when do you utilize it as a matter of protection? You know, when you feel like it's that primal space in the back of your brain that's going, this is not a safe space for me to be in. Or when your fear is acting like a mother and wanting to wrap you in cotton wool and keep you safe and all cozy and lovely and nothing's ever going to harm your baby. When to realize it's that kind of a moment where you need to kind of strip it all off and let it go and just accelerate into the corner and go a bit faster.
Yeah, because it comes down, like, if you look at the biological side of stuff, like, I don't remember the exact name, so I won't say it, about which part of the brain.
The amygdala, it is.
There you go. See, you know the research as well.
I do know that.
Yeah.
It's the
But
lizard
like,
part.
but it's about the fight and flight where we respond. And I feel like our brain is designed to protect us in a way, but sometimes it tells us stuff that are not true. And we believe that fear, we tend to believe like, and we go into that fear. But once we pause that fear, we are like, oh, there's our freedom, you know, like that's our freedom. And it's actually once you got past that and you push yourself through that, and maybe it's taking that pose where you're taking that breath, like you're just breathing. And it's like we use that wave analogy now in our previous episode, where it's like riding the wave, but it's just watching the wave sometime coming to you and just going back. And then you decide which surfboard you will take on and then go through that, you know, like go and surf that wave. And sometimes it's what you need to do, like take that step back and not over analyze. And from experience, I feel that fear is always when you don't overthink it, you just do it. Like you use the Nike motto, because I come from like that sports background where sports helped me a lot to deal with stuff. So I always love Nike motto of just do it. And I just remember that, like, and I love the word just. Yeah, just do it.
Our coach that we met through dislikes that word exceptionally so.
I know she's listening, so just for her.
Just for her.
Yeah. No, but
go on, sorry.
No, go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that for me, fear comes up in a lot of things. Like it can come up in relationships, like when you're starting something new, and it's when do you tell somebody that you think they're eaten a bit, and you know, when do you share those more deep-seated feelings and emotions, and when do you lean into that space? And I think fear comes down to vulnerability and love, right? So you need to be in that space where you're allowing yourself, you know, the fear's holding you back from acting from that divine space of love.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's keeping you little, it's keeping you small, it's keeping you from your true purpose. But, you know, it comes up in so many aspects of our life. I know for me, it was, how long do I stay with my husband? You know, the fear of being a single mum, and can I, you know, do I have the capability of doing this all by myself? You know, what are people going to think about me? What are the family going to say? How are my friends going to take it? You know, like, how am I going to be perceived for being the woman that on the outside looked like she had it all? And then, you know, I allowed fear to keep me in a space where I was allowing that person to control the outcome of my own life. I wasn't allowing myself to choose, you know, and I thought, well, if I stay for my kids and I, you know, but you end up, when you allow that fear to rule your life, you end up being a shell of the person that you are capable of being, simply because you're allowing fear to, you know, rule it. I wasn't allowing love in for myself. I wasn't allowing love to be, in the end, it kind of was the defining reason why I left. And it wasn't love for myself, it was love for my kids.
Yes.
That had me going, this is not what I want my children to see. This is not what I want my children to embody when they're grown men. This is not the style of relationship that I want them to embody and take on board as they become young men moving into the next season of their life. So it was that love that made me choose them over the fear of not wanting to be on my own.
Yeah.
All of that stuff came later.
I felt like for you, it was the start of your healing and your self-love journey. Right?
Oh, massively. Yes. 1000%. And you never know when you just take that one small step where you're concerned, you're fearful, you're unsure as to what's coming next, what to do. Just take that next step.
And that's what I tend to tell people as well. When you can't find a reason like to move past your fear, focus on your family, for example, or a close one, someone else, an external factor, but I know it will lead you to that internal. It will always lead you back to that internal. And it's funny you were mentioning about that fear of relationship, like, you know, like that was the main fear, like fear in a way kept you there, kept you safe, which I find ironic, right? Like fear kept you comfortable, kept you safe.
Yes, not safe in the traditional sense, because there was a safety in knowing there was money in the bank, that there was a roof over my head, that I had a car to drive, that, you know, there was always going to be food on the table, that there was a routine and regularity to my life.
Yes.
But when you step out of that relative safety, then there comes the uncertainty and the unknown and the holy shiz, I need to get my life together. And what comes next? Oh, you know what? I get to choose what comes next.
And that's scary as well, right? When you all your life
never made a choice. Never.
Yeah. And now you're like, oh, I have the power to choose, right? And it changes. It's another, like, it's the fear again, because it's like, oh, I can choose for myself now. How did that make me feel? Like, what can I do for myself? And that's where people get stuck. Like when you ask them, what do you want? Like, what do you really
unknown? It's the fear of they don't know themselves well enough to be able to answer that question. because they put all of these other things, they put everyone else's needs in front of their own. Because they've done that, then they feel disconnected from friends, other relationships outside of where you're at. And so then you don't want to tell anybody, like, I'm really, really frightened about doing this. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. But I think when the fear bit comes up, we need to start to trust what our body's telling us. We need to start with the little things in terms of tuning in and listening to what our body's telling us, whether it's making a choice over a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, or whether it's making a choice over what you're having for breakfast, or whatever small, minute things go on in your day. Start to think of it differently and start to think of those small things in how does it feel, so that when something feels a little scary, you have started to learn how to trust what your body's telling you. And if it's telling you to run in the opposite direction, do that. But if it's, it's just your head talking to you, well, then maybe it is time to step out and try something a little bit different or a little bit new.
I remember like when I came to New Zealand, like in 2019, and I didn't have that fear, like of coming on my own, because I never overthink about it. I never did. Even like waiting to come, like waiting for the visa to be approved, all of that. I never overthink it. But when I came, I had that, when you feel that excitement in your like stomach or something, but it has the same like fear as well. That's what I learned from our dear friend Mel Robbins, because I was listening to her at that time, and I remember she was saying, in your body, like it's the same feeling, like you get the same feeling as excitement and as fear as well. When you really dig deep, it's like your heart is beating faster, maybe your hands sweating, you become like sweaty and at the wrong place sometimes, it depends, but it's like, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, but I can't tell myself it's not fear, it's excitement. And that's what I did when I came here, and that's what I kept telling myself. Oh, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm looking forward to that opportunity. And that shifted my fear in a way, but I was never fearful to be on my own. It's until I think after 3 months that I realized, oh, I'm actually living on my own. Like it didn't hit me because I was so excited, like the excitement lasted for 3 months, I think. And then it just disappeared. No, I'm kidding. It stayed because I really enjoyed my time being on my own, getting to learn about myself, learning the values, what really pushed me. And that's where I really applied that motto of just do it. And I feel by you saying like taking that deep breath, for example, taking a pause, that's tapping in your divine feminine. And when you're certain of what you want to do next, that's tapping in your divine masculine.
Yeah, and I think it's also too that your intuitive abilities are like a muscle, right?
Yeah.
Like we both know if we don't exercise, it's not good for us, right? And it's the same goes for things like cultivating friendships or cultivating your intuitive abilities or learning a new skill or whatever it happens to be. It's like learning how to run, lift weights, do some sort of physical activity that's requiring the muscles within your body to do something different.
Yeah.
So like if we're not flexing and we're not utilizing those muscles, they're going to go really lax and they're not going to be effective. They're not going to be able to guide you in the way that you want them to. And the same goes for your intuitive abilities, because if you're allowing that fear muscle to work over time, intuition is just going to kind of fall to the wayside. So we need to provide a little bit of balance between the two and work each of them with relative effectiveness. You know, that's where we're, you know, speaking about obviously masculine and feminine energetics is, and also tuning the head into the body, you know, and allowing it to act as a divine marriage, you know, that it doesn't need to be separated from you know, like from the neck down, that there's no feeling, that there's no, you know, there's no signal reaching the brain whatsoever. It's just we act like Mr. Potato Head 90% of the time, and we allow this bit to rule what happens in our lives. But if we start to create more of a divine relationship between our brain and our body, and between our masculine and our feminine energies, then we would find that although fear is there, and sometimes we do need a healthy dose of it, like, you know, in terms of weighing things up for ourselves as to, you know, am I going to go to New Zealand and visit Dava while I'm there? Am I going to bungee jump?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oh,
because I have a fear of heights, strangely enough.
Yeah. So we're going bungee jumping, So good.
As long as I'm strapped to a fireman, I don't care. So I think it's fear is one of those things that we need to define for ourselves, whether it is a basic fear of we are in an unsafe environment, we are with unsafe people, whether something's going on that is going to physically harm us, or whether that fear is just simply preventing us from trying new foods, trying new people, moving out of friendship circles, you know.
Saying no.
Saying no.
Yeah.
You know.
Setting strong boundaries.
All of those things that we, in the end, we want people to love us, right? We want to be loved, we want to be heard, we want to be respected. However, we do utilize fear as an excuse. And our good friend Mel says, your excuses are bullshit. We utilize fear as an excuse. I'm too afraid, I can't do that. I'm too afraid, I can't do that. I'm too old, I can't do that. You know, like, I don't have the capacity to do that. Everybody has an unlimited capacity, potentiality to do anything. You just need to start somewhere.
And I'm really curious, like, since you're the intuition queen, according to me, like you talk about that intuitive voice, like how would you, because I'm sure like maybe some listeners are saying like, Tina, yes, I'm all in for that intuition to come in, but how can I differentiate it from the voice of fear and the voice of intuition?
For me, it's a little bit like a bullshit detector. I'm quite good, pardon my French, which is very funny because my friend is French. And it's not, he doesn't say that anyway. For me, I find that I can detect it in people's language when I'm not looking at them. Like if they're behind me, if they're within the vicinity, but I don't physically have eyes on them, I'm quite good at gauging pitch and tone, and particularly like when my boys are fighting, and I know when it's BS and when it's not. Reading, when I read people's text messages or emails or those sorts of things, I'm very good at, it's picking up the undercurrent for me is what that's, but I have two versions of my intuition. I have gut. My intuition is my gut. it talks to me. So
Right.
it's either, and it's very quick. So it's hell yes, hell no, or it's parking lot. But it's very, for me in my gut, when it's yes,
quick fire,
it's
like
quick,
yeah.
but it feels juicy and delicious and really like
fiery, just like
fiery, but it like eating a really fantastic meal, like that feeling that you get. And when it's a no, it's like a beep beep beep, that reversing truck noise. Like it's not, no, it's definitely not happening. But I also get what I would term splenic hits. So they're faster than my gut, and they're instantaneous. And sometimes you wonder whether it's actually spoken to you or not. It's that quick. It's like millisecond quick. So the only way I can describe that is I took my 2 eldest sons out for dinner one night, and I'd misjudged where the restaurant was. So I ended up, it was like a walking safari in trying to get to this restaurant that we wanted to go to.
Oh no.
And on the way back, we were walking along one side of the road, and all of a sudden I said to the boys, we need to change to the other side of the street. And the boys going, what for, what for, what for? And I said, move. We got to the other side of the street, and someone popped out from the side of the building and wanted to start talking to us. So for me, it was just like, and kept my boys moving along, because at that stage, my boys were like, I don't know, 12 and 15. So, like still
early teens,
as a group, vulnerable, like a woman and 2, preteen, early teen boys, still in that very vulnerable state. So I was very grateful for that listening to that very quick move. It was it. It was just one word, move. And so I moved and, grabbed them. We don't hold hands anymore, Mum. Like, move.
It's that mother's instinct, right?
It was literally like just no time whatsoever. Whereas for some things, it's a bit of a, like my gut can be a bit of a slow burn, but I will normally get a very definitive yes or no. So, and also too, for me, once I had learnt about my human design, which is another thing that I like to dabble in, it helped me understand my intuitive ability better. But what I found was after I left my marriage, my intuition literally became a muscle that just got flexed every single day, because I was being lied to all the time. And I'm like, bullshit. And I trusted it. I got out of my head and I just trusted it. And it's led me to amazing spaces, I must say. And I decided one year, as on a whole, because I had led my life from a very fearful space, that for 1 year I was going to say yes. Anytime someone asked me to go out, anytime someone asked me to do something new, I just said yes.
So to your freedom, then it changes, right?
Your perspective like radically shifts in terms of going, oh, I didn't know I was capable of that. Oh, I could ride a horse. Oh, you want to go out for a drink? Sure, no problem. Let's go. What do you like to drink? I don't know. What are you having? Gin and tonic. Sounds great. I'll have one of those. Thanks very much. Everything happens for a reason. But if you are allowing yourself to be led from a space of fear, you are living less of a life than what you are capable of.
Oh, that's just gold. Yeah, what you just said. Yeah. And I can feel it. Yeah, sorry, you were going
No, but I'm curious. Like, I know that you said when you moved to NZ that you weren't fearful of moving.
Yeah.
Was there any space at all, in, you know, like one that you could pick where you would go, I was absolutely scared out of my pants and really, really frightened, but you decided to act anyway and go, this feels really freaking uncomfortable and it's like nails going down a chalkboard, but
I would say like the financial side of things, like that was scary. Like making money or earning money, that was scary. Like because I was so used, and I am really grateful for my parents, you know, like they work so hard, even my great grandparents or my grandparents, they work so hard. It's not that we live like a rich style, but we were rich and wealthy in terms of the bonding and the love, the caring. It was not rosy all the time. I do recognize that, but
never
okay,
is.
which family and where the
Which
fun,
family
right?
and I call bullshit.
Yeah, and then where the fun if there's no where it's always rosy. But
Yes.
I think like earning, creating a budget on my own, like making the budget, doing the grocery shopping on the for the first time ever,
Yeah.
going on your own and buying stuff that I like. It's not that someone else chose for me. And I was like, oh, I can choose. I can buy stuff that I like. So I can make pasta, for example, every day. And I did. But that was the start. But then you get, you know, like you get sick of pasta every day, obviously.
But you have to learn that for yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I think like for me, the scariest one was tuning in my light, like connecting with my light, being myself. That was the scariest ever. Like I'm still learning to do that, to stand out for my light, as you know. And
Yeah.
and
And
also,
got a chat about doing that.
yeah,
Just a gentle reminder.
just a gentle, nice Tina way. That's another story. But yeah, it was a nice reminder, obviously, of standing up for my light. But I think like discovering my light and really affirming that and saying yes to my light. And that was an always scary part for me. And I feel that fear always held me back, like even in Mauritius, you know, like I knew I always felt different. I knew, sorry, I didn't mean that I don't like Mauritius. I love the country, like the beaches, especially, and some moments of it. But it's like I always felt I was out of place and I had something bigger within me. I had something bigger to do. And I think like just saying that out loud, it was scary. Like to just say like, yeah, I'm the light. Like I can show you how to shine your light. And telling that to people,
Yes.
that's so scary.
1,000%. It is like,
Yeah.
because when people say, oh, what do you do? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do lots of things, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm an intuitive guide.
Mm.
And like for people not to look at you like you're Madame Rosie with the crystal ball at the local fair.
Yeah.
You know, that you covered in, you know, jingles and sparkles as I am today. Anyway, that in itself, like there's such connotations around being a light worker, being somebody who brings spirituality to the forefront of what they do every single day in terms of their business, how they deal with relationships, how they just deal with life in general. Like last night, I was having a chat with the moon and going, so nice to see you and thank you very much. And do you think I could get a decent night's sleep tonight? And there are a lot of things that come with being a spiritually aware person. But for so long, you may have felt the same in Mauritius as I did in previous roles that I've had business-wise, is straddling the fence, right? Straddling the fence of being you know, what people traditionally know you as, oh, well, you're a business coach, or you've run businesses, or, you know, you're a salesperson, or you're a this. And on the other side of the fence, you know, that it was after work had finished and I'd go to meditation groups, or I'd go to yoga, or I'd, you know, stick all my crystals outside in the moonlight, or I'd bathe myself in essential oils. You know, they're all the things that we as light workers, we are multidimensional, we are multifaceted people, and we can do lots of things. But the fear for us is saying, I'm a light worker and I'm bloody good at what I do. And also then charging.
And
for that service.
That's where the money come in. Like,
correct.
Like most light workers can, I'm sure, can resonate with that. It's how much do I charge? And that's a major block for light workers to say, or spiritual teachers to say that, oh, I charge like thousands and thousands of dollars. It seems like so wrong. You know, it's like you want to serve humanity, but then it feels so wrong to ask. But at the end of the day, it's that fear of asking for what you're worth to. And that's what you're denying yourself, right?
Right.
And affirming that for myself was like so scary, and discovering, working with my shadow as well. The shadow work, that was scary. And
it's the fear of looking too, right? You know, as we were talking about that whole subject, it's the unzipping, the unveiling, opening the door to Narnia and going, what's in there? You know, like looking at what's behind the closet door. Because we're also scared to unwrap our traumas and the crap that's happened in our life and how that has influenced who we are, what we do, who we spend time with, the patterns and the cycles in our families, and, you know, like trauma bonds and, you know, like ancestral crap that you managed to drag with you.
Thank you, the soul contract.
Yeah, thanks for those. Had a couple of those. But, you know, like, how do you deal with the fear of looking? How do you think? And I've met so many people that are just too scared. They don't want to lift the veil. They don't want to look under the carpet. They're just prepared to stamp down the dead bodies and pretend like there's nothing there. And, you know, I've got my shit together. I know what's going on, and no, nothing's going to trigger me or press my buttons or upset me in any way, shape or form. But you know what? When you start to do the work and you start to peel it and you start to look at it, the better it is, you know, and how much more can you connect with people on a loving level than just purely seeing their surface level behavior, because nothing comes from nowhere. You know, everything that someone does comes from a space of where someone else has pressed their button, or it's a language, or it's a tone of voice, or it's the way in which you move your body, or you look at them, or they feel like they're being examined by the CIA under a light and, you know, in a very dark room. That's what it feels like when we start to look at our own stuff. And we start to you know, and that's the stuff we love to help people do. We love to facilitate, and we love to hold the space in being able to help you move to that next level, because that's what it's asking you to do in order to evolve through this human experience that we're all having, for our souls to become what they're meant to become. That, as David said, you signed the contract, right? Before you came, you signed the contract and said, these are the things that I need to move through. And mine, patience, trust, surrender. They're the things that I signed up for. Surrender more. They're the things that I signed up for. And everything in my life has tested my ability to be patient, my ability to trust others and myself, and my ability to surrender in knowing how shit is meant to come together.
Yeah. And that reminds me, when I did that shadow work, like I remember I went to a therapist and she come from a Jungian perspective, and she was saying like, what if you see the fears as your friends? And at that moment, literally, I was like having that what the F moment. Like, what are you talking about? Like this, even I have, because I have the psychology and counseling background, and I knew where she was coming from. But at that moment, I was the client, and I was like, no, and I was like in denial. And then when I went back and reflected, and I was like, okay, let me take it further down and just say, what if I take it as my unhealed child, inner child, right? And that's when I learned to really parent myself in a way. And
because that's what it comes down to in the end, doesn't it?
And I feel that if you tell your fears and you talk to it as a child, maybe it shift, right? Maybe there will be a shift. But it takes a lot of gut to do that. And it takes a lot of work as well, inner work. So that's why I always tell people, like, you don't need to go on that journey on your own.
No. And it's not a one and done either, right?
Yeah.
It's just not a one lap around the block.
Oh, we can tell about that. I think everyone can. Like, we have constant reminders, and we have Netflix special every single week coming out.
Every week coming out to test to see all the things that we have learnt. Are we embodying that in our daily practices? Are we embodying that in what we teach ourselves? Are we standing in front of the mirror going, hey, I really like you today.
Yeah.
And I love you, and I think you're awesome, and you got a great ass. So just keep rocking. It's fine.
And high five, like Mel said, right?
The high five habit. When her husband, when she was saying, when she asked her husband to high five himself because I was listening to that yesterday.
Oh, yes.
He said it was a WTF moment, and what did he say? An NFH moment, never fucking happening. Because there were so many other underlying things for him going on he said it wasn't a question of high-fiving himself, and providing that sort of strategic action of getting up and keeping moving. It was actually looking at himself and facing himself in the mirror every single day. And I think that's what we need to do when it comes to our fears. We need to look ourselves in the eye and go, what is it that you're really afraid of?
Yeah.
What is it really? Like, what essentially, like, if you could boil it down, what do you reckon it is? For me, I think it's love, isn't it? Like, it has to, for me, that's what it has to be, is that when I stand there, if I don't love myself enough, then I'm not prepared to try.
Oh. So you meant like loving yourself, right? That's what
absolutely. Like if I can't stand there and go, you've got this kid and you're more than capable of it, and you've proven to yourself time and time and time again that you have the skills that are required to get this. You're the only person standing in your way, because really in the end, no one gives a fuck what you do. Nobody cares. The only person that cares is you. So you have to be brave enough to face yourself and tell your Karen or your respective Nigel that live up here to politely go away.
Or in Tina's way, to F off.
Yes, and going, I've got this.
Mm.
You know, and if you feel on a day that you don't, you message a friend, like the bloke that's sitting next to me, and I'm going, I'm having a Karen moment. Can you please tell me I've got this?
Yeah.
We all need to have a connection.
Yeah.
So that the fear doesn't become bigger than us.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned love, because fear can never go bigger than love. It can never take over. When you really tap in, and when you were asking yourself that question, I was asking myself as well at that moment, what I'm really afraid, like, when you're boiling it down, like really nailing it down, for me, it will be my light, because I know how powerful it is. Like I can feel it, like in my meditation or in my practice, um, like in my life coaching practice, I can feel it. But the challenge is like to keep it constantly, like a 24/7. And that's where we get those Karen moments, like you lovingly call them, and to remind them that's why you have friends, maybe like you have just one friend, or maybe a podcast, or maybe it's a video that you like, or maybe it's a music that you like that will remind you that yes, you got this.
But you know, whether you choose Gabby Bernstein like we like to, or Mel Robbins, or whether it's Brené Brown, or whether it's Andrew Tate, or whoever it is that you choose to turn to when you're having those fearful moments. If you don't have an outreach somewhere, you need to be vulnerable enough to put your hand up and say, hey, I need some help. And if you don't have anybody in your intimate circle that you feel that you can do that, by all means, we'll be your next best friends. We're really good at that. You know, so when you're having those fearful moments, that's what we've created. Well, I feel that's what we've created, the divine mess, is to have massive impact and change in the world. And it starts with simply one human at a time. And our ability to impact one then becomes a ripple effect. One becomes two becomes four becomes 8, you know, so then it then grows, and it grows and it grows and it grows to the point where I would love it where nobody on the planet ever felt like they had to do this stuff by themselves, and that we have the ability to turn this fear into something life-altering and life-changing, and meaning that everybody has the ability to shine their light, whether that's as a gardener, whether that's as a heart surgeon, whether that's, you know, as a counselor or a coach or a mum or a dad, or whatever your chosen spiritual path is, whatever your meat suit has signed up for in this round of shits and giggles, then, you know, come talk to us. You know, we are fairly good fun humans who enjoy enjoy talking. So on that note, we are exceptionally grateful to have shared a little bit of our thoughts on one of the F words today, and a few of the others. And most importantly, to say, today you are loved. And welcome to the divine mess. Come on board, because it's lots of fun.
It is.
Don't miss out.
And I would like to finish up with that thought is like, this came through, it's relate back to our last episode, finding the North Star, right? Finding your North Star so that you can surf the wave
Yeah.
right? Without any fear.
1000%.
Yeah. And like Tina said, always remember that you are love, right? You're pure love, you're
Always.
divine light. And even if in that moment you're listening, you're shaking your head, you're showing off the finger to us, you're saying like F
You're
off,
full of
you're full of it.
it.
Take a moment, go to the bathroom mirror or any mirror you can find, or maybe put on your camera on your phone and look at
Ooh, now there's a clever moment.
and just take that moment to tell yourself that. You believe in it or not, it doesn't matter. Your soul will hear it and you will feel it. So on that note, my friend, thank you so much for tuning in and see you next week for the second F word.
And number 8.
And number 8, abundance.
The affinity. Let's go.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you
folks.
so much.
Take care. We'll talk next week.
See you.
Ciao.